or education, science and technological development as they call themselves. And afterward I was director of one public institution called Center for the Promotion of Science. Great place, especially because they combined this public sector, private ideas, and of course very big motivation, if you can hear me, for promoting critical thinking. At the end, and I'm here today in front of Digital Serbia initiative, a very interesting organization. I will talk a little bit more about it on this slide, where I wanted to show you what we are and what we are not. So we aren't a government institution, but we are NGO. We are not a consortium of different IT companies. We are more than that. We are gathering business sector. At the end, we are non-profit. So we are trying to find a way how to make bridge between entrepreneurship and education, between the different interests of IT industry, especially in the area of digital economy, and from my point of view, but you will hear later some other points and some other tracks of Digital Serbia, so to connect with education. This is formally the first slide of my presentation. I wanted to show you something that you all recognize. So this is the school 100 years ago. You can see the pupils are sitting around this classroom in parallel rows. Yeah, please sit down. Welcome to this presentation. Yeah, we have place. They're waiting for the bell for the end of the class. They need to raise their hands if they have any question. If you have any question, you can please ask at any point. And if we see a factory back then, we can see the almost same picture. We see workers also sitting in parallel rows, waiting for some other bell at the end of their shift to go on. And if we look at the school today, for example, this is a real exam at the end of the high school here in Serbia, where the pupils are trying to enter different technical faculties, is the same. This first picture, the black and white one, 100 years ago, maybe back then they didn't have this much men in school, but essentially we are dealing with the same image. And at the end of this first part, we have the image of the factory today. Sometimes almost without any people, only robots dealing with products. And my question at the beginning is, why is everything around us so different except schools? That's something that I asked myself at the beginning of my work in Digital Serbia initiative, and I wanted to find some new solutions and some new paths to find a solution for this astonishing problem from my point of view. So this was the first part where I wanted to tell you something about our past. But let's talk about today. What is Serbia today? Or specifically, if we imagine that Serbia, the whole country, is one village of 100 people, do you know how many of them, for example, are... let me rephrase this. So, how many of you in this room know how to use internet and to send email and to edit text in some application? Please, can you rise? Everyone. But in our village, 43% of people would be computer illiterate. They wouldn't know anything of these three things. Also, we should know that 3 of them, or 3%, if you want to be mathematically correct, would go in preschool. 12 of them would be in primary and secondary school. Also, 10 villagers or inhabitants will have a higher degree diploma. And only 2 of them, I don't know how, but only 2% of people in Serbia are teaching in total in primary school, secondary school, and in the faculty. And at the end, only 1 member of this population, only part-time, is dealing with IT, is doing something in IT sector. So my second question at the end of this today's story is, what can these 3 people, or what can 3% of the population in Serbia do for the remaining 97? So we have 2 teachers, and we have 1 guy or a girl or some fluid gender doing things in IT industry. Before I tell you something about the future, I'm going to show you this poster. It is poster from 1986. If you want to sit, please do. It will be more interesting later. Yeah, thank you. So this is the famous movie Odyssey 2001, and this is original poster from 1968. As we can see, this guy is watching at something that we could today say he is handling with tablet. And back then, we can see that we had pretty good idea of how technological future could be. But we are very bad, and this is my disclaimer at the beginning of the last and third part of my presentation, we are very bad in predicting where will our civilization be in the future. Because behind him, we can see many people walking around the moon, having their own facilities, living there, and we know today, not even in 2001, but in 2019, that only 8 men went to moon. So we are very bad in predicting future, but nevertheless, there is a great web page called Will Robots Take My Job? And it's not only a popular web page, it's a place where few scientists from Oxford wanted to popularize their own research article about what kind of jobs will exist in future. And I will just give you a few examples, but you can go on their web page. 89% is probability for taxi drivers to lose their job in next 10 years. 83% is probability for fishermen to lose their jobs, but only 1% is probability for example, scientists, and only 1% for teachers in primary school. So the jobs that won't be automated, the jobs that won't be done by robots are these 2, for example. And we in Digital Serbia Initiative really try to find a way to define real-world problems and to try to talk about them, and at the end to have real final product, like in real industry. And education, that will be my end point, is only one pylon or one track of our interest. We are interested particularly in digital economy. And at the beginning, I want to show you a startup ecosystem, our pylon, where we want to find a way to encourage new companies and new startups to become better, to become more advanced. And afterwards, we want to find infrastructure not only for them, but for the whole digital ecosystem to become better. We want to find the new ways in a legal area to encourage all of those pylons to become more advanced. Of course, we want to give public talks, we want to go in front of the people, ask them for their opinion, ask them different questions, do data-driven policies, and at the end, we really want to change education. I can say today the Digital Serbia, with Ministry of Education, with government, is responsible for 44 different IT classes in high school, specialized classes for the pupils that are very much interested in coding. We also have, from 2 years ago, informatics as obligatory subject in Serbia. And now, when we are speaking about these topics, we are trying to find a new way to encourage faculties to make new master degree programs. And we made a public call for different faculties in Serbia, and it will finish only in 5 days, where we are asking them on national level to make program that will be a bridge between IT and business knowledge. Because when we ask different companies in Serbia what is their main problem is of course people. And 95% of people that come to their interviews are not satisfactory. There are people with a higher degree, there are people with great grades at faculty, but they cannot do product management, they cannot understand, usually if they're coming from technical sector, business processes, etc. My message for you is to encourage you to make this kind of progress as we in Digital Serbia initiative did, and maybe to make different national programs in your countries that will encourage your faculties to get together and think about what can be done in future, because in future we will have problems that are not even invented. And my last message is that things that we are teaching our kids today, even in preschool or in primary school, will be rules or philosophy in future governments. And we need to do that today. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, I'm here now, later, and welcome to Digital Serbia, Back to the Future. Bye.